I still remember last year going on the sideline. I see Darnell Washington for the first time when he was still there. I said, "Man, I'm glad I'm not playing now."
Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I are joined by Dwight Standridge of Bulldogs Battling Breast Cancer and Georgia great Jordan Jenkins to talk about this year's Sack Challenge. We learned how the Sack Challenge got started, how you can get involved, and we couldn't have Jordan on without hearing a little bit about his time between the hedges. We hope you enjoyed this bonus episode before the season gets started. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, so like we said we teased that we had a bonus episode, extra episode coming between the season preview and the season kickoff. So we've got a return guest and our buddy Dwight Standridge. We're familiar with him from Bulldogs Battling Breast Cancer. We've talked a lot in the past about during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, got a points pledge and the golf tournaments, etc. But got something new this year. Dwight and Bulldogs Battling Breast Cancer partnered up with DGD, the Georgia great Jordan Jenkins. Jordan, thanks for joining the podcast. Excited to have both of you here with us.
Man, thank you for having me on, man. It's a pleasure, and I definitely appreciate y'all's time.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Always a pleasure, guys.
we're kind of fangirling right now.
You
Not
guys
gonna lie.
hung out with me multiple times. No sense in anger.
Oh,
So,
man.
so how did you two get linked up? Like where did this I'll say collaboration kind of start?
So it's excuse me, sorry. It's actually kind of funny. After I had finished up in the league and the offseason hit, I had flashbacks to when we were still playing and Coach Rick was still a head coach and they were telling us about a golf tournament. And my young self, I thought golf tournament, I thought that gets me out of workouts and everything. So I signed up immediately. I was like, oh yeah, I'll go golf for a little while. Turns out you still had to do the 6 a.m. workout before you went to the golf tournament. And I didn't eat breakfast. I thought when we get there, we'd be able to have all this time. So I did the full lift, went out there, and I actually got dehydrated and almost passed out. But that reinvigorated me. It made me want to start golfing again because my old man was a 5 handicap. And fast forward to 2018, Dwight sets me up on a pretty stacked team. And I told him, I said, you know what? I want to donate per birdie, per eagle, and per par. And I'm like at the time I was like 25, 22 handicap. So I'm like, I might get maybe one or two pars. Little did I know we won the grosser net score, and we had about maybe six birdies. I made a 20-footer for eagle, so we started cheering, and then Dwight runs over and he's like, "Oh yeah, I hope you know, congratulations on the eagle, but that was about a $400 putt right there." And
Yep.
it was wholesome, but
You got to read the fine print.
Dwight's on it.
man, I tell you what, Dwight he's a good man. God knew what he was doing when he made you. I tell you what, man, it's all for a good cause, and it had such an effect on me that I was like, okay, I want to sort of keep getting involved. And I told him, I said, hey, well, you know what, let's make a big thing. I sort of want to grow my philanthropic side now that the league is done and everything. I'm doing some real estate stuff, and I was like, all right, let's do $100 a sack, and then I looked it up, and I was like, it's probably going to be between 40 and 50 sacks. Hopefully we get 60 because that means we going back to the national championship. But it just blew up after we made the first announcement. They sent the awesome graphic. I had a little basic picture, but Dwight and the team put that awesome picture together, and from then on, it just blew up. And I'm like, man, me and Dwight we kept talking. We're like, we really do got something here, and we sort of got to get it growing. And I just was out of town for a lot of the summer, but we're just trying to get it going these last 2 weeks before the season starts.
Yeah, I think, like Jordan said, it's been a great relationship since he started playing in our golf tournament when he was in school. And he's one that I got his contact info. He's such a good, outgoing person. We've been able to stay in touch. and all the football players that I get their contact information, John, you said it. I try not to fanboy them or abuse that privilege, because I know they get hammered from every direction when they're in the pros. But I try to pick my spots and lean on them and their notoriety from being at Georgia, being DGDs, and most of them are totally supportive, 100%. Doesn't matter what I ask them, you can count on it. Yeah, count me in. So, and Jordan's just one of those guys. And when he approached me about the sack challenge, I don't know what he envisioned it being, but as soon as he told me about it, I said, Jordan, between our charity relationships, our sponsors, our partners, and the vast Twitter network, and all of your contacts in the NFL, all of your corporate contacts, people that you've got to know over the past, 8 to 10 years, we could really blow this up, and it could be something substantial in the first year and something to build on, going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Amen.
I love that it came from you playing in the golf tournament as a
As a
player.
player, yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Man,
I didn't realize.
the first time was eye opening. I forgot to add in a part where after I had the Nike account when Nike still made golf clubs, I didn't listen to my dad and I bought the blades. I was like, "Oh, Dad, I played the golf tournament. I played with you because the blades look cool. They had the neon blue and the neon green." And man, I went out to Lane Creek with some of my buddies, and some of them scores. The winning score was like 121, and it was maybe 121 to 144 to 150, and it was I'm glad those clubs are retired, and I got a different set and way lower than that old number, but it was such a good experience, man, and I always thank Dwight and everybody, and Mr. Abbott and everybody for just bringing us out and inviting me back every year, because it truly is a truly wholesome and fun experience, and it's just I'm happy to be involved with it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Awesome.
And I know. Oh, go ahead, Jimmy.
I was just saying that's awesome. You went from sacking quarterbacks to sacking cancer. So
Yes,
we're you have something to occupy your retirement years in, right?
I got this little finger to remember it by, and then
Oh
now
man.
I'm turning on them young boys, man. It's different. I got one or two gray hairs growing in there, so I'm like, it might be time to, pass the medal on to somebody else. Let them go through it all, them little shoulder pains and aches. I'm good.
All right, now I gotta ask. Okay, so where when did that finger injury take place? When you,
So this actually happened my rookie year. It was against San Fran, and I forgot who was the tackle. He was about maybe 6'7", 340, and I was on the left side. And I remember rushing, hitting him, and I was like, "Oh crap, it's pass!" I mean, he had me hemmed up. I was stuck, and I tried to push up. Then I looked down, and I was like, "Oh man, my finger, it's sideways." So I'm trying to pull it. I'm scared. And I look up. He's still charging at me. So I back up a second. I try running off the field. And then Coach Bowles, who's now at Tampa, he's sitting there yelling at me. He's like, "Get back out there. Get back out there." I'm like, "My finger." He's like, and then Coach Bowles just said, "I don't give a crap. Get back out there." And then luckily in all the ruckus, I'm sprinting out. My finger pops back into place. But man, at that time we were a Jet team that we couldn't really get a lot of wins, and we I think we might have lost about 42-21, and it was a long plane ride back, and I
okay.
felt every bit. But long story
Yeah.
short, didn't wear the cast, and I wanted to play the video game, so it's set like
Oh
that.
no.
Wow.
Okay.
Playing
Oh,
Fortnite
okay.
back in the day.
Confessions of a gamer.
Yeah.
That's exactly,
Uh,
gotta
What
put
was your game of choice?
It was at the time, this was like maybe 2018, 2017, and Fortnite was all the
Fortnite.
craze still. So I was on it, and then now all the playing. I'm like, man, I can't stand that game. But at the time, I was finishing up at Georgia, taking my last bit for my degree, and it was me and my old buddy from Harris County. So we're just playing video games all day, and I was in a show. I torn my labrum, so I'm in a sling, just playing the video games with a crooked finger, shoulder sling, and having a good time.
Uh, hey, at least you're still able to play golf with
Oh
it,
yeah,
so all
I
good to go.
wish I started earlier. Wish I would have
Oh
kept
yeah.
playing at an early age with the old man because he's pretty crafty. I'll give it to him.
Okay, that's a constant theme. I do make sure, like, so, like, on that, Dwight, maybe just high level overview, because I know you've got two golf tournaments, for Bulldogs battling breast cancer as well. Give us a quick reminder of what goes on with those events.
Okay. Uh, Really, our events that are set in stone each year. In July, we have a golf tournament at the Georgia Club in Statham. That's where we partner with uh, the Georgia football team. Can't say enough good things about Austin Chambers and his crew in player development.
Yep.
They really position it and let the kids know what a community experience it is, and the players are really invested. They come out there, give their time, take pictures, sign autographs, and it's a wildly popular event, especially after back-to-back natties. So we do that in July. Going into next year, it'll be our 23rd, which was supposed to be a one-off. It was supposed to be one and done with Coach Rick, and after that first tournament, it was so popular, everybody kept calling and asking about it. And Coach Rick said, "Yeah, of course we'll do it again and just make it an annual event." So that's going into its 26th year. 11 years ago, I started a second tournament in August, and it's not a scramble. It's a 2-day, 2-man modified shamble with there's a lot going on. That we flight everybody after the first day, have a Calcutta on Saturday night, and the teams have a chance to win some pretty good money on Sunday. And it's more for the accomplished players, low handicaps. And
Not
Not
hey,
me either,
Jordan,
I mean,
Jordan, I'll tell you, like I tell some others, somebody's got to win the last flight. So that could be you next year, brother.
But if I get last place or the last flight, then it's
We'll give you a fishing rod.
about a year and a half, and I'm gonna check it
So,
out.
so that's the two golf tournaments. Rolling into October, the one constant we have in October is with UGA hockey. Coach John Camp. His squad has done a phenomenal job of being partners with us and raising money. They call it Pink in the Rink. And, as luck would have it, this game is usually against Georgia Tech, bitter rival. And Coach always picks out some really cool hockey jerseys with pink accents to promote breast cancer awareness in October. The last couple of years, or I guess since 2017, the first time we did a points challenge was when Georgia played Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. Couldn't have picked a better game to do a points challenge with Georgia having to score 54 to win. So we turned that into an October points challenge for breast cancer awareness. And each game in October, fans had a chance to pledge any dollar amount per point Georgia scored. And it's been wildly successful. But with us partnering with Jordan this year, we're shelving the points challenge and running the SAC breast cancer challenge for the course of the year, from the first game until Georgia wins the Natty in January. So that'll be 15, 16 games, because we'll win the SEC as well. So we got high hopes for it. And if that Junkyard Dog defense rekindles some magic, we're going to have plenty of sacks. So very excited about that. And the last 2 years, we've also did a UGA Tennessee challenge with a guy off Twitter up there, and he decided not to do it again this year. We have trounced them pretty handily both years. But he is a phenomenal dude. He does great work in Tennessee. He helped so many people when they had the floods up there. He took his crews off the road for over a month, running emergency loads wherever they were needed. So I will partner with him anytime if he ever decides to rekindle that. But we feel like this challenge, the SAC breast cancer with Jordan, has a lot of legs, has a lot of upside. And with us being in the first year, 9 days out from the first game, right now we're at $1,389 per sack with a goal of $2,500. So I don't doubt that we'll get there. Dog Nation always shows up and shows out. So we got plenty of time to crush that goal.
So someone's listening, they say, I want to get in, right? I want to pledge whatever amount it is that they feel they can do per sack for the sack challenge. Where do we send them? What do we need to do? Where do you need to go?
Okay, so it's on our website. The event is on our website, Sack Breast Cancer. Click on that, and it'll give you instructions. All you need to do is click on the link, and it'll send an email. I'll get an email notification with name, their email, and whatever their pledge is. Of course, we would love for everybody to match Jordan at $100 per sack. But every pledge adds up. It doesn't matter. I mean, $1 a sack. If we get 45 sacks, that's $45 toward the cause.
Yeah.
And we've got, I think last count was 51, 52 pledges. I want to shout out just a couple of our sponsors. Jordan, very generous, $100 a sack. And I've had some communications with some sponsors that have leapt at the chance to get involved in this. Landmark Properties in Athens came in. They're doing $175 a sack, which is phenomenal. And then we've got I met with a gentleman, Brian Pike, with Sesco Lighting out of Norcross. Met with him this afternoon. As soon as I told him about the challenge, he said, "Tell Jordan I'm matching him. Put me down for $100 a sack." Just phenomenal. And then we've got two other groups, Trip Arrowwood with Arrowwood Construction out of Toccoa, $75 a sack. And then Michael Gibbs, he's got some glamping domes in Helen. And his Twitter handle is Yonah Go Glamping, YONAH Go Glamping. He's doing $75 a sack. So, with support like that and everybody else filling in with pledges from $1 up to $25, $30, $40, it's been phenomenal to see the groundwork.
Every little bit helps. And you got some flat dollar amounts too, right?
Yeah, they can also pledge a flat dollar amount. If I know a lot of people, especially with the scoring pledge, it's sort of intimidating because you could get out over your skis if Georgia scores. If they scored 53 games in a row, but a couple of years ago, the second game, I think it was against Kentucky in Sanford Stadium, played in a monsoon, and I think the score was like 6-3 or something. And we're like, great, we scored 6 points. But we've had several flat donations, whether it be $100, $200, $50, and we're fine with that too, man. John, like you said, every dollar counts, every dollar adds up. And at the end of this thing, I think we're going to be able to post a pretty remarkable number.
And I think I gotta do my part too as well on hitting up some of these other hard-headed and knuckleheaded teammates of mine from back in the day. Because we got a couple guys good-hearted guys who I think should get involved. And with their support, I think we should be able to get as close to that goal as we can. And y'all, anybody watching, please tag your favorite Georgia player from years back and hound on them to either match it, donate some part, but please hound your favorite players, tag them in the challenge so we can get this thing up to that goal. Because with the NIL deal now and with some of these nice little bonuses, they got a good nice little bonus there.
Jordan, we may be going after the wrong crowd. We may just need to be targeting the college players.
Man, I guess so. Some college players, I do see a couple of them giving back, and that might be a shot at some of us old heads, that we might the team that lost to Vandy and to Missouri in the same year. Y'all got to give back.
Exercise some demons.
and the team that lost to UCF in the bowl game.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
glad.
mean, I ain't calling no names, but Joe Cox, come on.
Mm,
I
yeah.
was at that game. Oh.
And Clint Bowling, I'm calling you out too, man. You know,
Oh.
definitely
Here we
calling
go.
Clint out. Clint,
All
TK,
right,
you know,
we're
I'm gonna have to,
we're doing it. We're name dropping.
yeah, I'm gonna have
We've got
to
a hit list.
go down the list. Floyd up in that. Well, he's in training camp now. You know, he got a little bit of stuff to do. But Lorenzo, yeah, you know, the whole Wolf Pack. I'm gonna have to start
The
hounding
Wolf
everybody
Pack.
this next week. Go around
Well,
like people and trying to get the funds for a good cause because we owe it to y'all. We owe it to the fans and that 2013 year. We definitely owe everybody in that class. Y'all owe at least $1 because bad games that season.
and we hadn't even brought up the pack of dogs we got up there in Philly right now. We need an inn up there in Philly to get
Oh
Nolan
yeah,
and
yeah. Nicole,
Nakobe and
Joy,
Keely.
all
That
you big
whole crowd.
boys. I still remember that picture you hold. You know, we need to see that pose, but $100. The contract, I see it on Sports Track. I'm pocket watching. You know, y'all Philly boys, come on and show love and give back, man. And matter of fact, I got one of Jordan Davis's rookie cards right there,
Nice.
numbered at a
Look at
170.
that.
You know, we might have a couple giveaways for some of the fans, and this one's National Treasures, Jordan Davis autograph from his rookie year. So
Nice.
might have a little couple goodie bags with some cards to give out. You know, if you
The links to all this in the show notes and in the tweet out and everything. So just be on the lookout for that. We'll make sure everyone's got the link.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to mention one other partnership we've got going, and I just got the finalization on that today. But Home Field Apparel and Dog Central Graham Coffee have partnered with us, and like Jordan said, we're going to do some cool giveaways. Me and him talked about the idea of every fifth sack Georgia has during the season, have some kind of raffle for everybody that participates will be eligible for that. But Home Field is, and I'll be putting details about this on Twitter probably tomorrow when I can really wrap my head around it and present it like it needs to be. But Home Field is doing some tiered perks for pledges, and they're donating some of those the new black bomber jackets, some of the platinum boxes for UGA.
nice.
And we're working on a private event that will be the Friday afternoon before the Texas game downtown. That will be a really cool event to be at. So I'll announce more about that on Twitter tomorrow and put it on our website.
We have Nakobe Dean autographed that is
I know him.
That
DGD.
damn good dog. You know, if we get some Philly players, if we get enough fans to get 3 donations from from 3 Georgia players on that Philly roster, I will personally put this Nakobe Dean autographed rookie card, PSA 9, auto is a 10, but numbered out of 75. I'll put this in one of the giveaways. If y'all can get 3 Philly players to donate.
Let's do
Hey,
it.
it could be $1 a sack.
Like
if you get 3 Philly players on that team from Georgia to donate, I will put this in one of the giveaways.
I like it. I like it.
All right, you've inspired me, and this is where John's gonna make fun of me because I'm a hoarder. So I used to get these at Kroger back in the day, the Georgia's Finest. Somewhere in this stack, I've got like it's a mistake. So I think it's like Herschel's picture, but it has the wrong name. That's a good one. That's my prized Georgia's Finest card.
They put Bo Jackson on it.
JP, David Lee is gonna be mad at me if I don't make this joke. So we were talking about Bo Walker, and you were commandeering the Bo Nose stuff.
Yes.
And so now we've got to go with Bo Nose.
Auburn Storm.
So
that's amazing.
You know, I don't care for Auburn.
He doesn't care for Auburn.
Don't care for Auburn. And see, that's why Gunner is like the perfect quarterback for Georgia when he drives in his truck. Auburn sucks.
Yep.
I love that, especially being from Harris County and Columbus. You know, you got half the fans are Bama fans at the start of the year, and at the end of the year, they're Auburn fans, and they love. Yeah,
a little bit of how the sausage is made down there, huh?
They're taking some shots because it's a couple of them. You know, you go around the mall and some people's shops, they was showing Georgia stuff. We might lose to South Carolina early. All of a sudden, it's a whole lot of Crimson Tide stuff in there. And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to the Georgia stuff? Yeah, what happened to the South
Uh,
Carolina game? I'm like, all right,
uh,
to each their own, but it's always dogs on top every way.
that's right. Always, always.
Jordan, you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to kind of roll back on because I'm curious about this. You mentioned like the damn good dogs. Is that something that alumni talk about? Like football, UGA football alumni? Like, do you guys banter back and forth about who's a damn good dog and who's not?
So it's more, we have a lot of appreciation. I was in Vegas looking around some homes and closing on a rental property, and Tay Crowder was out there. He was my little youngin from Harris County, and that was my oldest sister sneaking in the room. Uh,
Good.
but we were sitting there watching, looking back, talking about some of the younger guys, and it's more of an appreciation thing. Like we look back and see some of the guys the way they played, and it was the same thing watching Roquan and Tay, because I still remember Roquan's rookie year. We were thinking that he wasn't going to be big enough or he wasn't going to be able to handle the full year because he was committed to UCLA and he came in undersized, and we already had Rankin, the Trez, and a couple other guys, and he just paved the way. And I remember looking back I remember we were prepping for some game, and I was like, wait a minute, is that Roquan they're talking about? And he's just side to side. He looked like Alec Ogletree 2.0 in such a smaller frame. And it's just awesome to watch that. And then you see Brock just completely lighting it up. I think he got 24 on the NFL Top 100 this year, and
Yeah.
nobody wanted to believe it beforehand. And it's just it's pretty awesome seeing some of these guys hit their stride and just keep it going and not just holding it down for them.
Yeah.
It's like a whole separate fraternity.
Oh, yeah, man.
The damn good dogs.
I was the only Georgia player up in that locker room when I was in New York for those 5 years, and
Oh,
a lot of Big Ten fans and a bunch of Clemson boys. They had
Gross.
Jamal up there, and then the year that LSU had their little run, Jamal, we were trying to do the little jersey bet and didn't even want to do it. And then sure enough, come halftime, come into the game, all I heard was Georgia what? Georgia what? And I said, oh no, you didn't want to do the jersey bet beforehand. But it was a rough that was a rough year that year there. And then
Yeah.
they didn't like to hold it up because I was always the loudest one. I was barking in there every game, talking that trash in the front row. So it was well deserved, and that LSU one stung. I'm not gonna lie. That one could be hard.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
John, you want to hit? I wanted to get to like your standard question.
yeah, Jordan, we have a standard question for the UGA folks that went to Georgia, or, that get on the podcast. What brought you to Georgia? Like, what was your Georgia story?
So this is actually perfect because a lot of fans don't know, but I was silently committed to Bama for like half of my senior year. And I remember we were going down to the Under Armour game. I was hanging out with a bunch of Bama players and some of the Georgia guys hanging out. I was hanging with Leonard Williams and some of them down at the Under Armour game. And I remember after taking one of the photos, Roddy Nabulsi comes up and is like, that was a full Florida picture. And I was like, oh, yeah, I was laughing in my head. I was like, yeah, I know it was all Florida guys, but I know I'm already going to Bama. And that night we were getting done. We just finished up one of the practices, and I was talking to my mom, and I was like, if I didn't go to Bama, where would I go? And I was like, I'd probably be Georgia or Florida. And then I really started thinking about it and really started comparing it. And I was like, I just kept thinking about the relationship between it was Saban and Kirby versus Coach Rick and Coach Grantham. And then Florida had a new staff at the time. So I really had sat there and thought about it after that time. And then I remember when we left the Under Armour game, and I was talking to my mom and dad, and I was like, I think I don't want to go to Bama. I think I really want to go to Georgia. And then they lit up about it. And then I remember Kirby he still lit me up about it because I called him the night before they're playing LSU, and then I was young. I didn't watch. I hated watching football. I'd rather play back at the time, and now I watch it a whole lot more. But I remember sitting there and I forgot they had the national championship game, and
You ruined his you ruined his
I called that
time.
man the night before, And he's sitting there. We had like a 30, 45 minute conversation. He's like, man, no, I can't let you off the phone. I got to prep for this game, got to do this. He said, just wait till after the game. Just wait till after the game. And he calls me and he's like, man, we just won the game, but I still felt like we lost. And so fast forward to when the new stadium gets the new indoor gets built, they're taking down some of the other stuff. They're taking down one of the old photos that I had up on the wall. And Kirby's like, you see that? Shit, they're taking your picture down. You want to know why? Because you called me the night before the biggest game of my career and decommitted. That's why we taking your photo down. And he was giving me crap about it. He said, you know what? Get out of my building. It was just, it was a full circle moment. But, it just, the G just meant more to me, and as soon as I made the decision, I remember after that going on I think it was the show with Chad Simmons. I think Rusty might have been there, but it was just a really wholesome thing. And it was finally that just family feeling that I've been searching for because being a military brat, every 3 to 4 years you move into a different state. And my dad retired back in '07 as soon as we got down to Georgia, just to give us that middle school, high school experience. And I just always wanted that camaraderie and just being a part of that. And that's what that G meant to me. So that commit to G when we still had that slogan, that really meant it for me. And it was just something that I knew was always going to be a part of me. And, I got my Georgia blanket on the bed. I got Georgia G on the truck, and in my office, I got some Georgia stuff down there. So
You got the necklace on right now.
oh yeah, it's always dogs on top, and I actually can't get it off because I bent the hook. But it's just like it. It's all about that G, and then it just was a great to get. It's just an awesome thing being a part of this family and this culture, and that's why I always want to continually give back and just bless those who didn't have the same opportunity that I had, or just really just giving back for. I mean, the G helped me get to where I'm at today. So why don't I give back with some of the same blessings and just try and grow over somebody else?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Amen, brother.
So you were a part of you've been to a certain degree, you've been a part of the two different regimes. You've been around the program with Kirby, you've been around the program with Rick. What do you think is how do you feel about the differences when Kirby came to town?
So it was kind of interesting, we found out, after we just beat Tech and then find out Coach Rick's fired and then we
Right.
found out on Twitter and then I remember I was on the way to the facility and then see the news and half of us we were up in uproar about that and finished out the game, Pruitt left, BMAC took over and then we won it all with BMAC there in the bowl games. It was an awesome feeling and then
Penn State.
Yep. And
Yeah.
Saquon was there. Hackenberg, my old he was in my draft class. He was the second round pick before me going to the Jets, and the little punk, he got a red Raptor our rookie year that I wanted, but I got it now. I got the new model now, but uh it was kind of interesting, but when Kirby and company took over, it was sort of almost like it wasn't that much of a hard change for me because a lot of those guys were the same coaches that were at Bama at the time. Coach Schumann, he was a minor linebacker coach at the time. Coach Cochran, he was one of my favorite coaches when I always went up to visit and always hearing him screaming out, yeah, 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 and then putting us through hell at the little 3-day camp. And so there was a lot of familiar faces and some of the change, was welcome. Fans wanted to change it. It sort of was like a proper send off. Coach Rick went back to his alma mater, after he took the time away, and Kirby comes back to his, and it was an awesome feeling because me and Kirby go back from the recruitment days, and then him and being from Bainbridge, maybe from Harris County, our school played each other a good bit. So he's almost like he's that cool uncle that's always talking trash, and then but he knows how to get it. Like if you have a bad day of practice, you're trying to take it all and just try and mope around. Kirby not gonna let you mope around, and that's what I've always loved about him. Like he's gonna keep pushing you and pushing you and pushing you, and he love on you hard, but he gonna coach you harder, and that's just the way he always is. And it's just he's a good dude, man. I can't lie. Still can't stand him in golf, but he's a good dude.
Is he a good golfer?
I've been issuing a challenge to him, but he keeps putting a high dollar amount that I back down from every time. He's
He's buying you out.
Yeah, him actually said, put your working contract on that deal. And I said, oh, okay, there might be a couple levels to this golf game. Let me relax first for a little while. But I'm a star. I'm gonna bring him down to Atlanta Athletic Club, take him out, wine and dine him, and then talk trash in every backswing and hope I beat him by 5. Probably not gonna go my way.
That's funny. That's funny.
And hey, guys, from our perspective, when Rick got fired and they announced Kirby was in, Jay and Teresa Abbott are the founders of the charity. Jay called me 5 minutes after that news broke because they had such a good relationship with Coach Rick. And, he was really fearful that our connection with Georgia football might end with this coaching change. But to Kirby's credit, and it's been nothing but a great positive experience. Kirby came in and he told Jay, y'all proceed as if there was never a coaching change. He said, this is one of the community involvement projects for our players. We're not going to change that. Everything will be seamless going forward. And, true to his word, it's been a great relationship. And we're so lucky to have the partnership with Georgia football. There's a million golf tournaments around the state, or you could search out and be in, but there's only one that partners with UGA football the way we do and have 50, 60 kids out there playing. So it's awesome and really crucial to our success every year.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, and we can, proof right here with this group talking, like the relationships that develop.
Yeah.
So, keep you involved for life. I think.
Yeah, amazing. When you were playing as a player, Jordan, who was the golfer on the team that you guys were around? Was there any particular player that stuck out from your time at UGA that was a particularly good golfer? Because I hear Drew Bobo is a pretty good golfer.
So Drew's one of the ones who really got me. Him and Chandler Catanzaro from Clemson. I was doing the pre-draft stuff spring semester out in Arizona, and they took me out to the Waste Management Open with my agency at the time, and I almost didn't go. And some of the ASU guys talked me out of there, and then got to meet Drew firsthand and talk to him for an extended period of time, and we're both talking about the Bulldogs battling breast cancer tournament, playing in the past, and I had mentioned I'd never really golfed much before then, but Drew's pretty smooth. And then when I got to the league after in 2017, I bought those stupid Nike blades and played like crap. But Bryce Petty was nasty. I played at the Ball Mar tournament that the NFLPA had. Young Hoku for the Falcons is insane. He took a 3-wood he ducked it off the tee and then took a 3-wood about 300, maybe about 280 off the deck. And also found out Mark Ingram is a phenomenal golfer. I never believed him whatsoever. We were in the Texans together, and anybody watching football and watching the sports world knows how much of a character Mark is. And I didn't think he actually was a legit golfer. And then the team he was paired with had 2 quarterbacks that were in the league, and I think Will Lutz was on it. Mr. Northgate himself. He also beat me back in high school. But he told me they used about 75% of Mark Ingram's shots, and I didn't believe it, and I had to give him his credit. And he's a really good golfer. Shocking.
Dwight, I was gonna say, Dwight, who's Jordan leaving out? Who have you seen come through the tournament that's like striping?
Well, Drew Butler is legit. When Drew was in school, he played with us 4 years, and he came back and played 3 more years, and we won the tournament 6 out of 7 years.
Wow. Okay.
He's legit. I think an underrated golfer that Jordan didn't mention belongs to AAC, Clint Bowling.
Oh, yep. Clint.
Even when he was at Georgia and had all that offensive lineman weight on him, he could play. And now he looks phenomenal. He's slimmed down and he's a pretty good stick.
Okay. Jordan, there's a question that I feel like we've gotten this question multiple times, and I want to relate it back to you. So like we do like listener questions every for like our preview episodes, and I think a few times we've had some questions along the lines of like, what's the loudest environment you ever heard in Sanford Stadium?
Ooh,
Um, and
we.
there's one that you played in that comes up a
I
lot.
know the one you're gonna say.
Okay, okay,
It's
you
the
may hit it.
LSU 2014.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So that was one of the loudest. And Tennessee, when they brought out them smoky gray uniforms, and
Mm.
actually, I thought we was gonna lose that game. I was spooked, and I was mad. We kept messing up on defense. We couldn't get no pressures, and I was hot. But the another one that was a sleeper was freshman year, when Jarvis made the game-winning play against Florida in the Georgia Florida game. And there's just three moments where I remember it was the first time where I couldn't hear anything. It was when Malcolm had that catch and he ran it in on like from maybe 20 or 30 out.
Mm.
And another one of the runs, I think Kiefer Todd might have had, but those three, like individually, were three of the loudest moments. But the LSU game, after I tried jumping over
Yeah.
the
So
fullback.
I was gonna bring it up.
I
That's like on like the last play, on like their last offensive snap, right? You like
Yeah,
jumped over a guy.
and nobody knows. Well, there's three things that happened in the LSU game. One, I learned Zach Mettenberger throws the ball 1,000 miles per hour. I dropped the most gifted pick of all time. Didn't know how to drop anyway. We were in Harris County. It was club rip and then go. I never had to drop, so I'm dropping into. I was supposed to have a curl flat, and I just remember seeing the receiver and I saw Mettenberger load up, and I was like. Oh, it's just like the movie. Everything is slowed down, man. It's just like the movie. I'm about to catch this ball and I'm going down the sideline. I'm for the score, and they're on our 40, and I'm on like the 20 on the numbers. I see him throw the ball, and next thing I know, it just hits my chest and hits the ground. I'm just like, oh, dang. Third down, we luckily get off the field. I get to the sideline. Some people trying to talk to me, and I'm just like, man, I'm not trying to hear it end up getting a sack later on to make up for it. But so that fast forward to the last play, I said, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna jump over this fullback, and then I'm gonna go make this sack." I saw Flo rush off the other side. I think I forgot who was rushing up on the interior, but saw him rushing up that way. So I said, "Okay, I'm gonna jump over it." Man, that Joker clipped my right thigh, and I table topped over. All I remember was looking up, seeing the ball up in the air. Boom, he fumbles, drops it, and everyone goes crazy. And it just was, it's hilarious. Not many people see it because it's on the bottom of the screen, and it's hilarious. And then it's just, it's a word to the wise. Don't jump through, don't jump over somebody who's 6 foot tall. It's, unless you're Lorenzo, unless you're Lorenzo Carter, because he's probably one of the most athletic freaks that I've seen at Georgia, and I still remember running the 110s and the curves, and he's just casually gliding around, finishing early before everybody. I'm just like, man, I can't stand looking at you run right now because I'm dying. But he was an athletic. He was a freak of nature.
Yeah, I remember. I feel like didn't I think that game like an LSU guy like downed a kickoff like at the was that
Oh
game or was that a
God,
different?
that was when Odell was catching. That's when I figured out who Odell was too. Somebody had mentioned Sterling was talking to me, and he said he just caught that ball one handed off the kickoff. Then, sure enough, I
Hmm.
see Marshall kick it off, and then Odell just casually one hand catch it like that, and I was flabbergasted. I just never seen anyone do that, and then fast forward, I was like, oh, okay, so this Odell guy's pretty good. And then next 2 years, he tears it up in the league, and it just was
Yeah,
amazing because Jeremy Hill was on that team, Vidal Alexander, a couple other big linemen that played for a while, a couple other younger guys, but there was a lot of all stars on that team on
yeah,
both.
it was a stacked roster game.
And that just was a regular. That's why the SEC is the best conference because that literally. I think LSU was 14 at the time. I think we were 12 because we had lost a couple games. I think we lost early to Missouri at home, James Franklin hit a couple stuff or whatever the court. I forgot his name. He
Yeah, that was
like
when I think Franklin got hurt. Matty Moss, maybe.
that might have been one of them. And then the Ray Drew hit where it was they called
Oh my
target,
gosh.
picked up the flag, said, "Well, it's not targeting, but since we threw the flag, we can't rescind the penalty." Then they scored. Then the same thing happens with Rameek getting the same hit. It's like, "Oh, we reviewed it. It's actually not targeting, but we can't pick up the flag." Another penalty, and then they score, and it was that one was a rough pill to swallow. It was the Vandy that Vandy loss, the early Missouri loss, because we had
Mm.
him so many times, and I just remember we just didn't have that sense of urgency. We just figured it's like, all right, we spotted him that. We'll get him on the next one. Oh, my
Mhm.
bad. We'll get him on the next one. And then fast forward, clock ran out, we lost. But that's
Yeah.
why we need to get some more donations from them Philly boys.
Yeah.
Y'all got to
I tell
pay
you,
into the past.
I was in Nashville that game when they threw the flag on Rameek.
Yep.
I was in a Vandy bar, and I was the only Georgia fan in there.
Mm,
That was not a good place to be.
mm-mm. They let you have it up there.
They let me know.
Listen to them
It only
dogs.
it only happens once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Seriously.
I'm pretty sure it was rough to wear that G around certain places and.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like
Yeah.
you, little mouthy, but
Heck
I wasn't that day.
no, no. Everything that went wrong. Oh, then they ran a fake field goal on us before halftime. And boy, Coach Grantham was livid. And people like to think Coach Rick didn't get all rah-rah. No, no. Coach
Did
was hot. TG was on one. He broke a clipboard.
did
And
did they run it on third down?
they
It
had
was
done something
the
crazy.
third and Grantham play.
Yeah, yeah, I remember them days. It
Was
was
that there was one I can't remember if it was that year, but there was one they had like they did a fake punt where like their center was he was on the like he was the end, so he was eligible. I can't remember that game.
yeah, we I still remember looking back and we would we just were just like we really just let that happen. I think it was maybe 6 seconds. Like we weren't even really it was half of it was on us not being like we weren't even really set and we just thought they were just gonna kick it and then go on and then they wanted it more that day and we just thought little brother Vandy wasn't gonna pipe up and they piped up and taught us a lesson real quick.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You were there 12, 13, 12 through 15, right? Those are the
Yep.
years? Yeah.
2012 SEC championship.
Boy. I still it I didn't know how we lost until we got on the buses to leave because
Mhm.
I had turned around and talked to Sterling Bailey and I was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna win the game." And I got to the G in game, and then all of a sudden I saw all the confetti fall, and I'm like,
What
What just happened?"
happened?
We just already just had that long catch. I was like, all right, bet we're gonna spike it, da, 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 da.
Uh, we
Yeah.
wish.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I still I was giving Murray crap. We were at Brandon Woods golf tournament up in Tallapoosa, and Murray was there, and I was giving him crap about it. He was like, "No, no, no, it wasn't me. I was between ball boy." I said, "Uh-huh, yeah, you should have superseded him and spiked that ball. I wanted the ring, dang it." But that team there was that that was a team of some dudes there, and I wish we had one for him because Jarvis, Tree, Big John Jenkins, Mike Gilliard, a lot of those older guys, even Garrison Smith, they really they put a lot of work in and they fought over their 4 years, 4 or 5 years there, and that was the one that stunk. And then the rain game in 2015 hurt too.
I mean, it's just to think back to that too, like just how much the game has changed. Because now, like that's a playoff team, and like you guys keep going on.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Right.
Still salty about how the committee decided to shake that up because at the end of that, I was like, okay, we're Bama's one, we're two, Notre Dame's three. That one, they don't play nobody, and two, they don't play no conference championship. He said Manny
Yeah.
Te'o. I was so biased towards Manny Te'o when he was going through his whole ordeal, only because I was salty about that game. I said, "See." they got out there when they put us and told us we're going to the Capital One game. I said, "Oh wow, this is what this is the little meme. Hello, darkness, my old friend." That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
what was playing in my head. I'm watching the show and I said, "This is crazy." And I was hanging out with it was me, TJ Stripling, and them, and it was. I remember watching that game, and we were bashing that whole Notre Dame team, and it formed my hate for Notre Dame and a lot of that conference over there.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yep.
So pivoting to talk a little bit about like what's going on in today's game, like what from your perspective, like has NIL truly changed everything from a recruiting standpoint, the way that we fans tend to like frame it? Like our kids, from what you've seen, truly picking exclusively off of money more so now?
So I think in a sense, sometimes you do get that case, but it kind of is like it's a double-edged sword because now that there's the money involved, now there's a lot more of a realistic like the goal of getting that life-changing money and getting it to affect like help out your family. Now it's that much more. So I think one of the blessings in disguise is we get you sort of the guys that do want to be there, that the guys that really want to be there, and the guys that do make it those 4 years and actually make it to the next level and make it even in make it through the weed out programs, make it to the guys not transferred, the guys that stay and the guys that actually respect the whole process. It's that much more, and it's a blessing, and it helps them get ready for the next tier and the next level of life that much earlier because they see all the money and they can handle that and still be loyal, still have some of the same sort of just attitudes towards. I think it's a little of both. You know, sometimes you get guys that do it for the money, but they don't last. It's almost like if you do get guys that go for money, you see the guys that hold out and try and transfer for this, try and transfer for that, and and it sort of weeds some of those guys out because you can't sit there and transfer to three different schools. And I get, sometimes you get a coach that you're told one thing, you get there, it's not how you thought, and it's like, okay, then by all means, but some of the guys that are making some of the transfers, it does get to be a little out of hand. And one of the things is like with now that the NIL's there, the only thing is maybe having just a legislation on just a fine system on certain aspects of the game and just treating it like the professionals, and it might when you get fined for some stuff, leaving, you get fined for being late, it makes you really appreciate that money a whole lot more and just sort of have a professional approach to it. Because when a minute turns into $14,655, you really start really teeing in and really focusing in on it. But man, it's a different change. But I'm excited to see how the boys are going to turn out this fall.
It sounds like that you kind of were touching on some things that I've been we've talked about it on the podcast that like at some point there's value at not only getting developed by a coach like Kirby Smart, but there's value at staying in the state that you are from,
Absolutely.
staying at one school for all 4 years or however long you're going to be there and then go to the NFL. But there's value in coming back as a damn good dog or
Yeah.
a damn good elephant or whatever the heck
Yep.
your mascot is.
You hit it right on the head because not everyone's going to make it. There's injuries, there's cases where there might be some, the politics happen in the league. There might be a coach that knows another coach who knows his dad, he might go there, might not. But just being able to know that you can get some of this money while you're playing and have your own name and likeliness to like being able to monetize it and use it while you're playing, you could set yourself up, you can set your family up for years even if you don't play in the league, if you if you went to middle school in the same state, high school in the same state, the amount of businesses and the amount of connections you get solely off of having not just the Georgia degree, which I'm biased towards, but getting a degree from Alabama, getting a degree from Auburn, Florida, and being from those states and staying in those 4 years, developing those connections with the businesses, the school, you might meet some high ranking political people. You might meet some high ranking people in business that are locally around that love the team, love the sports, and you can have a connection for life, and you might potentially lose it just by you know, might be taking.
Transferring out, yeah.
Sometimes it's maybe I'm getting 400 here, but such and such this kid's getting this there, and it's the sort of the thing about you just wanting to compete with everyone else, and it's like, oh, he's getting that, I think I deserve this, and it's like when you start thinking that way, it sort of sets you up for failure because there's always going to be somebody better. There's always going to be somebody that makes just a little bit more, but it's what you do with your time there, and it's like you're still making some great money. Embrace the connections that you're having while you're there for those 4 years and just let that set you up for life. You know, if you make it to the league, then you have all those connections already set. Like some of the times, you know, you got guys that went through those 4 years, they didn't get to go to some of the workshops. They couldn't go meet with the CEO of this company just because of the way the NIL was. But now you can do business with head of Aflac. You can do business with some of the CEOs at Nike and all the other fashion companies out in Oregon or University of Washington. So that aspect really comes in. It's like if I sit there, you know, get a nice little bit of money and have a great coaching staff, a great organization top down, and a business school, you're freaking set for life. And I think my power just
Yeah.
flickered.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I was saying,
I
Dwight, I
think
feel like you've got a good perspective on this too, like with the relationships you've made through.
I think one thing Kirby's done better than almost everybody is recruiting character and selling these kids on the developmental process and coming here for 3 years and looking at the big picture. You come here, you're going to be practicing against 4 and 5 stars. Iron sharpens iron, and after 3 years, the the proof's in the pudding. The last 3 or 4 draft cycles filled with Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the development is there. All the NFL coaches know what they're getting when they get a UGA player.
Right. Yeah.
So I
Oh,
think if you play the long game, Kirby's got that dialed in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And if
joke has
you,
always been that, the Jake Froms of the world can always fall back on insurance if they need to and
yeah,
be
you're
set
going to
for
be taken
life.
care of.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that name alone, you know, Murray, you know, Murray would have really thrived in the NIL era, and that's some of the positives I like to see from that. Is that if you're a Georgia guy, you know, you'll always get it. Like teams, if you're a competitor, you know, teams will always give a guy from Georgia a chance. And you know, if it doesn't work out, you know you got all those great connections that you've had over the last 4 years and with that G. So I mean it's right there for you. And you hit it right on the head, Dwight. I think Kirby's one of the best developers for talent and developers, just really great guys on the field and even better guys off the field. Because when you go through a Kirby Smart led team, you know, it's there's expectations and he doesn't slack off. Like people, some parents might think, oh, you know, after a year, you know, my kid might not be getting coached the same. Oh no, Kirby is just as adamant in practice. Doesn't matter if you're
Right.
first rounder, fourth rounder, it doesn't matter where you're set. If you're not competing that day, he gonna call you out and he gonna make sure everybody sees it. So there's no favoritism. He's giving everybody a shot, and it's just Kirby's got all my respect and more.
Well, and Jim, you brought up the point. How does that translate to Bulldogs battling breast cancer?
Yeah.
When I first got involved, Jay and Teresa had the one golf tournament, and they would write a check to St. Mary's for $8,000-9,000. Well, the last 7 years we've donated 6 figures, and
Mm.
I'm not, the last 3 or 4 years have been over 200 grand. And to see the timeline and how this charity has grown, how we've networked with partners and sponsors. Just the gentleman I met today, Brian Pike with Sesco Lighting, was referred to me by somebody we tailgate with. And she said, you need to meet this guy. He's heard about y'all and he wants to get involved. And it was, we met at a restaurant and shared a beer together, 45-minute conversation. And we've got what I think is going to be a really valued partner going forward. And he's bought in. He knows about our charity. He knows what we do, and he knows we're raising money that stays local and is really affecting outcomes for people.
I was just about to say, walk us through that, Dwight. Like, when you're donating to Bulldogs battling breast cancer, it is staying local. What's it going towards? Like what?
It's
Throw some.
okay. Uh, every dollar we raise goes to St. Mary's Hospital in Athens, or technically St. Mary's Foundation, which is their fundraising arm, and they've got a fund set up specifically for Bulldogs battling breast cancer called Teresa's Hope, which Teresa Abbott is now a 22-year survivor. Her and Jay are the founders. So every dollar we raise goes to that fund. They use that fund to provide free mammograms for women in need, to educate women in the community on the importance of early detection. Get those screenings done, because the earlier you can catch or diagnose breast cancer, really changes the quality of outcome. If you catch it early enough, full recovery with, I'm not going to say minor, but very reduced care. Whereas if you don't get the screenings done, you catch it late, the outcome and what you have to go through could change substantially. And I'll say, me and Jay talked about this after this past check presentation. In 2023, we raised $275,000. So of course our goal in 24 was 300 grand. And I'll compare it to a football team sort of resting on its laurels. We had a couple of sponsors that always came through for us at the end of the year, and we knew where we were positioned, and we were counting on X number of dollars to filter in at the end of the year. Well, 2024, we only donated 245,000. Well, that to us, that was like a slap in the face. That's the first year we went backwards in 13 or 14 years. And, Jay called me the next day and he said he was just depressed. He was like, man, I can't believe we didn't get our goal. And I said, Jay, look at the big picture. Look at where we were 15 years ago, donating $8,000 or $9,000. I said, other people would kill to be in the position we are. We slipped a little bit this year, but that's what comebacks are made for. So, there's a little bit of a chip on our shoulder this year. Jordan walks in, gives me a call this summer with this idea, and I have no doubt that we're going to blow past 300,000 this year. So, it's just been a great journey, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it.
One would say that Jordan's bringing the fire, passion, and energy.
Yes, one could say.
Like me and Dwight had talked, and I had a couple other things I had to take care of this summer, but this really doesn't even really hit the whole goal. Like we've got some stuff set for 2026 that I think really could sort of really change put a lot of good change for the Bulldog battling breast cancer. And we just are so like we know we have this stuff to handle with the sack challenge this year, but we're on to some really big things, and no matter what happens at the end of this year, I think moving forward, just from this initiative, that I think we can reach a really wide audience and really continue to grow this thing.
Yeah, this year's really a launching point. We're scratching the surface with this sack breast cancer challenge, and it's going to position us in years 2, 3, and 4 to really ramp it up.
I love it.
Nice.
Love it. So talking about this year, Jordan, what I guess maybe pivoting to talking a little bit about some of this season, like Jordan Jenkins is a player in 2025. Where does he fit in on this team?
Man, shoot, right now. I still remember last year going on the sideline. I seen Darnell Washington for the first time when he was still there. I said, man, I'm glad I'm not playing now, because tight ends wasn't like that. I mean, we didn't have any pushovers either, but them boys is big, and they got that nutrition hall. They eating all the right stuff. They got all the best lifts, and all the donor dollars that have been going to Georgia. Let me tell you, it's going to the right place, because the product they got on that field, I can't compete with that. That's a whole new era right there. It's something different in the water at that facility, and they have the best recovery team there as well, with Connor Norman, sort of getting the mantle passed on to him a little bit from Ron Corson. But the full package is there. And if you're a kid, a parent, and you're trying to think about Georgia, another school, pick Georgia. It's there. Proof's in the pudding, man. I'm excited to see them boys. Moral of the story, I don't have a spot on this team. I might be the
Oh man, Jordan was walking on.
He'd be in the portal.
He'd be in the
I'll be in the portal, baby. That ACT, baby.
That's amazing. So have you heard a little bit about like what's going on the field? Like, is there anybody you're excited to see? As a former player, like is there who are you excited to see?
So I'm always biased with my defense boys this year, but I think this year I'm really excited to see the quarterback play this year, and I think it's going to be a lot more positive than people think. And right now, I've got all the faith, and it's going to be pretty interesting. Now we do got a little gauntlet, from I think about 4 to week 8, but. I think we got to put a lot of faith in the kid and watch him sling it this year.
Hmm.
I think he's going to be the brighter point, and I'll be watching that man a lot this year.
Dwight, how are we feeling about this season? You
I feel
geared
good
up,
about it.
ready to go?
I feel
What's your prognosis?
good about it. I think I've heard enough about Gunner's development and where he's at as a quarterback. I don't want to put it on him comparing him to number 13 we've had recently, but homegrown talent, everybody loves him, and I really think the defense is going to be nasty. I think the defense is they may make us a lot of money in the sack challenge.
Yep. I didn't want to put a number out there, but I got faith in. I think they'll be real hungry to shut up some of the naysayers and some of the critics from last season about some of the pressure here, some of the TFLs here. I think them boys are gonna come out there with a chip on the shoulder and ready to stop all the doubt, and some of the little analysts are showing a little love to some of these other teams, and I'm like, y'all gonna count us out? Keep doing it, because y'all just add fuel to the fire, because them boys are gonna be hungry, and they're gonna play with some fire this year.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was looking at the numbers from last year. I was like, oh, geez, I think that they could blow that number out of the water.
Yeah.
And just one player that at our golf tournament that just was really struck me, left me shaking my head, is Elijah Griffin. As an incoming freshman, he is a monster. Good Lord. And I've heard he's already one of the strongest players in the weight room at 18 years old. The sky's the limit for that kid.
From your lips.
Yeah.
Right.
Dwight, is there anything we're forgetting to ask? What?
No.
Okay.
Man, I appreciate your time. I know Jordan does too. It's great to be on here with him. Be able to connect with y'all and share a little bit about this challenge.
You're gonna have to show Jordan the map to Morris Hall.
We will get Jordan to Morris Hall this year. That's guaranteed. And he's going to be one with a lifetime membership. I don't think Corey Allen may not run unopposed as the mayor of Morris Hall anymore.
I was just going to say, we have to introduce Jordan to Corey.
I do have to. That's a good point. We do need to point out that Jordan's actually the first defensive player that we've had on the podcast.
Man,
this is true. This is true.
That's a big accolade. Normally everyone always shows love. The QBs, the RBs.
Oh yeah.
We talked to Ladd and Tate in previous seasons.
That's my boy Ladarius right there.
Here we go.
There he is right there. He's one of the excited. I was gonna bring one of his jerseys up to one of the games. I couldn't get it bought early enough, but I got a Bowers jersey. I think I did end up getting someone else's McConkey jersey, but I got Broderick and I got Ladarius right there, and I got some of the rookie cards, and I love watching them two play. They're just really just they're gritty, man, and they put the work in, and they don't talk a lot of that stuff. But when it comes down to it, they're not gonna back down, and they just fight, man. I love watching them two play.
I love hearing former players like you, like that were great. I mean, we watched you be great on the field, and you're one of us now.
And oh yeah, it's an interesting switch. That the first fan moment was my rookie year. I had Casey Rogers, Tennessee guy. I had Coach Mike Caldwell, another I think Middle Tennessee guy, and Coach Bowles, all of them good friends, all of them Tennessee fans. And that 2017 year, we had a certain package where we have Lorenzo Carter, who's about, 6'6", 6'7". He's supposed to be the one who bats the ball down. And
Mm.
we had a certain Hail Mary, and it was right before defensive meetings, before we were playing. I think we might have played the Chiefs when Alex Smith was still the quarterback. And I get down to the defense block. First we had the team meeting in the little mess hall. Coach Bowles is playing the whole little. I waited. I was the last person to come in there. The whole sequence, the Hail Mary and all. As soon as it happened, Kate Rogers is Bulldog. Your Bulldogs didn't do it. I hope you got some Tennessee outfit, hoodie, sweat, shirt. It was a rough
Oh.
time, man. That was the first moment, and I was like, so this is what it's like to lose when you got no control over it, and
Yeah.
it might hurt just as much, if not more.
You're
Uh,
like
Yep.
you're like on the phone back to the old boys. They're still there. Like, come on, man, you're killing me.
Man, I talked all this trash, and we had a guy from Vanderbilt who was sitting there in front. So the year we almost lost, we did lose to Vandy. It was all the linemen were sitting there. I was walking to the back of the plane. All the old heads was looking at me like, "Hey, Bulldog, what's going on? Your boy down 17-9 to Vandy," and I'm just like, it just ain't it. I'm still talking that talk, but it ain't yet. But it was pretty bad. Y'all,
there were better years to come soon after. So.
yep. The pain y'all felt is justified. I'll give you that. Man, oh man, that was a rough one there.
One
You hear
of
you heard it here.
us.
You heard it here
One
from
of
Jordan Jenkins.
One of us. One.
It's
That's
too
it
great.
entirely though.
Love it. Well, guys, definitely appreciate both of you coming on. Really enjoyed the conversation. Just a reminder, everyone, we'll put it in the show notes when we tweet out the episode. We'll have a link to where you can go and participate in the sack challenge. We'll put it on the YouTube, so it'll be all out there everywhere. So, like we talked through, whatever you can do, anything you can do will help out to a great cause. So Jordan, happy that the two of you got hooked up to do this and bring this to Dog Nation and to the charity. So much appreciated, and thanks for coming on and talking through.
Yeah.
Man,
Thanks for your time, guys. Can't wait to see y'all at the tailgate.
yes,
Love
sir.
it.
Absolutely. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Go Dogs.
Go dogs.
Go
How about
Dogs.
them, baby? How about that's my alarm to go to bed.
There you go. Go
Oh,
Dogs.
perfect.